comes Tribalize with the Primal Rage. And there's two right over the edge to start things off. Going down into the hallway. Make it 3, 4, and 5 with the assist Fire Strike. Reboot, given the 3 boots. Comes Phoenix Fifth with the Coalescence, looking to get some damage on the enemy team. They're all low. 1, 2, and 3. Here comes Hanzuki, 1 headshot. Make that 2. I feel like Hanzuki's hungry for more. There's the 3rd. And will it be shut down? Coming out with the Diva Bomb. Oh no, will it be? The double kill! Back getting in, getting messy. Here comes the Primal Rage. Going hamsters. Nick here, harnessing the inner Jonak, doing damage and heals. What more do you want from a Zenyatta?
Look, there's a rare Elfie bait approaching. Oh, folks, let's go ahead and follow. Oh, looks like it's zipping into the back line.
Oh, is this what I think it is?
Hello?
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to O.C.C. Scrims. Tonight we have the Gold Division game between Titans and Pro, and I am joined by Amana, Yuki, and Peeps. How you guys doing?
Doing well.
So, we got to see Pro play last week, but Titans, I haven't actually got to see play yet, so I haven't really been able to see their style and things like that, so we'll just have to play that as we go. Those of you who have seen it, what do you have to say about this team?
I have to say Titans, they're a pretty solid team for the most part. They do have their nights, but overall they do have their roles. Like each player knows which roles they're doing. You can generally see what they're like good at the roles they play, and you have some flex as well within them as well. So they're a very good, strong-founded team.
And I was looking at some of these career profiles, and there seems to be a lot of flex play there. So we might be seeing a lot of GOATs, but also other compositions, as these players can swap between tank heroes and support heroes and DPS. It seems to be fairly well. So we will have to keep an eye on that. Before we get too far into everything, we have a birthday announcement. Thank you, Wolfpack. It is your birthday. Happy birthday. So let's move on. The first map is going to be Ilios.
Ilios here is one of my fan favorite control point maps. It is known as Boop Central, and then on the Ruins map we get to see a lot of Widow action, which is always fun to watch.
And sometimes on we even get to see a little bit of Bastion Orisa. It has been a while since we've seen that, but it does happen sometimes. So, yeah, Lighthouse is going to be our first one. There's a lot of environmental capability here, being able to kill someone by booping them over the edge. There's ways to use the environment to your advantage. There's a pretty interesting point. You have a way to get in from the top, and it's very closed in, close quarters with a fair amount of empty space around it. So you see some interesting things here. We might be seeing a little bit of goats, but it's probably a little bit more likely that we'll see a 2-2-2 comp, probably with plenty of environmental capabilities on those teams.
Yeah, one thing is, especially on this map, you like to see Hammond and a lot of zoning ults because it's a little small room in the Lighthouse, and Lucio is always a must on these maps. This is the boots and the boots, pretty much. So
let's look at these compositions here. Pretty interesting coming out from Pro. We got Helix Snake on the Reaper.
Reaper, that's very... We normally don't see a lot of him on this map, but his Death Blossom is really good inside the map, but can't really play a hero just to his ult, though. Otherwise, they're running a pretty standard Ryan Zarya. They have the
it looks like the Titans are under the same impression because Hot Pocket 22 is also running the Reaper.
Well, I guess let's see what they have planned for it. We might not see him for long if it doesn't work out, but they might have some strategy to work together with it.
It seems that Pro is using the Lucio to get him up close, but Helix Snake is going to fall to reboots. But now, with a little bit of anti-nade onto there, they may be able to do some work, but it doesn't look like with Hot Pockets 22 taking out Nethel as well. And with Lucio falling, poor Elfie isn't going to be able to make it, so that is going to be a point take for the side of Titans.
That was the Lucio, they were trying to get right up in their face, knowing they were going that back line, but it just wasn't enough. They were ready for them to get that hard push, and Titans was that first pick on Helix Snake kept their tanks very solid, and then just were able to push back and had them fall back.
So now they're looking to create another defense. They're staying behind the Rhine shield with Danks up in the front, trying to get a little bit of charge there. With you see Hot Pockets going off to the side, trying to get around the Rhine shield, and seems to be doing a good job with Nethel falling first, and the Hammer Down following it straight afterwards. It's catching 3, and Titans just wiping the side of Pro.
That shatter there was really nice. They're waiting and baiting out the shield and just getting that in there. They're really, like I said earlier, Titans, they know the rules, how they play, and they do it really well. And they're a very strong team to mess with in the gold division.
And they are definitely showing that. Look at Hot Pockets 22. He's off into the pool area, just waiting for the Pro to get a little bit forward, and is going to just rush in there and get a ton of damage. He's going to be able to use the Wraith Form to get away. A Nano Boost onto Nethel to try and keep him up and swinging, but it isn't going to be enough with Nethel falling, and Hanzuki does finally fall. That's one of the first deaths for Titans so far, so it might not be enough. Wolfpack is right in the middle of it, trying to get a little bit of damage and kept alive by the Zarya bubble, and Reboot, had to get around back to his team, but it looks like for now, Pro is backing off.
One thing I've noticed, like you said, Quaking have his ult. This Zen, the Discords, the communication must be really well. They're focusing down one target after enough, and then Quaking's calling out those Discord orbs, and they're being able to pick off Pro really quickly.
And as far as ultimate economy, it definitely does look like Titans has the advantage, but it is starting to even up. The Dragons are on to the point. They're not going to be catching anybody, and there's going to be the Transcendence. Surprise did manage getting caught by it, and there is the ultimate for Hot Pockets, taking out 2. Casual Ops and Elfie, that's both these supports down, and with Nethel falling as well, they might be having a bit of a rough time here, and although the Graviton Surge did come out as well, but the Coalescence managed to keep them all alive. Overtime has been triggered, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Titan's going to be taking it 100-0.
That was really nice there, because they tried to use the Dragons, knowing that they because they had the Trance on the side of Titans, but then they didn't know that Titans had that backup Coalescence, and she's able to Wraith out of Grav and heal the team like that, providing pretty strong heals with their Coalescence, and Titans were ready for it. That was a really good call on the side of Titans for that ult management there.
That is really important, making sure you're keeping track of the ultimates that are coming online. A little bit of swapping around. Hot Pocket 22 is going to be playing the Ashe. Definitely keep an eye on that. And on the side of Pro, we're going to be seeing an Orisa Roadhog composition coming out.
No, just Titans. Hot Pockets now switched to the Bastion, and we got our Orisa now as well, the Orisa Roadhog. So we might get to see some very interesting plays come out from the side of Bastion that we haven't seen in a while.
So the main thing with Bastion right now is just setting up right behind where that reboot shield actually landed perfectly, and just trying to do damage and making sure they are keeping everybody away from the Bastion, keeping them protected. And they're going to have to find a way to get around that shield and do a little bit of damage. But so much damage is coming out that Hot Pockets is going to be able to just burn Nethel's shield down and instantly take him out. And with Helix Snake falling as well, Pro is looking a little bit worse for wear on this point as well.
One thing about these comps that we're seeing out from Titans is, like, especially on this map, is a lot of deciding where the front line is. You can always play the point back or play aggressive like Titan is, and it's just always being able to make sure not to overextend and just play around that well. The well is the death hole that you do not want to fall in there, like we saw Danks pull someone in there earlier.
So they're going to have to find a way to break that shield and take out that Bastion. Maybe might be bringing in a Hanzo at some point, but for now, they're sticking with what they have. But Helix Snake is going to be playing the Sombra to try and use those hacks to create a little bit of a problem there. And they're going way around onto the backside. Will they be able to respond to it fast enough? They did get the shield down, and Danks is going to be the first to fall. Wolfpack dashing through onto the backside, but not going to be able to find anything so far. Helix Snake is back there as well, going to be trying to find a hack, but isn't able to do it. And the ult from the side of Titans, Hot Pockets in tank form now, pushing away Pro once again.
That was a really nice rotation right there, because that is one of the counters to this Bastion setup on this map, is going behind when they're unexpected and jump into Bastion while they can. But that was a good rotation call on the side of Titans. They were able to reset, pull Bastion out of danger, and set them up and get the team out of danger. And Bastion had the tank form for maybe able to clear up anyone if they had gotten through.
Yeah, the shield was up from Reboot. If possibly Pro had tried to bait it out a little bit longer, they may have been able to rotate without the shield being able to back up. The Coalescence does come through from Casual Lomsec, using that to try and just keep the team alive, but isn't enough. Nethel is going to fall. Ulceration does die in return, though, and we have a little bit of High Noon coming out, but Alfie manages to take out Hinzuki before it goes off. Wolfpack on the backline trying to cause some issues for the Bastion, but the Transcendence is there and keeping him alive, but it is now gone. Will they be able to do something with it? Looks like they will, with Reboot getting the shield back up, getting it down, and the Coalescence coming through. Surprise also managed to use the whole hog to do some damage and keep everyone away, and with a great hook managed to get Nethel, but one in return from Danks means that Surprise is now down in the hole. But with Danks falling, looks like it's going to be another 100-0.
Their control here on this map, they're controlling where they... Pro's trying to get around them, trying to control their positioning, but Titans is sitting there, they're standing their ground, they're not being phased by these loops around these flanks and stuff, and they are standing their ground, which is ultimately what is the reason why Titans was able to pull off such as 100-100 on both maps, is they just didn't let flanks scare them and stood their ground.
Yeah, they did a great job of making sure of keeping people away from the Bastion and setting up people for success. Right here, we saw a really great ultimate from Hot Pockets 22. And this is where we saw that Graviton surge, but it seemed like there were only 2 people alive on the side of Pro. So maybe it was a little bit late. Wasn't able to really have enough follow-up. So definitely a very good showing from the side of Titans so far. Pro, they're looking a little bit rough. They're going to have to figure out a little bit of a different strategy if they want to take this next win.
Well, we definitely seen comebacks before, so I wouldn't count Pro out yet, but I hope they just need to talk down, realize it's been a while since they've fought Titans, and just use it to reiterate their strategy and get things in order.
So it looks like the next map is going to be Hollywood. We're setting that up now. So overall, very, very good map from Titans. They had really great frontline control, making sure that the people who needed to get focused down got focused down very well and very efficiently. So far, they are looking very, very strong. It seems like their tank line is doing a great job of keeping their DPS and their supports protected. So Pro, they're going to have to figure out something a little bit different. But Hollywood is a place where you can do some different compositions. We've been seeing a lot of goats if you've been watching Overwatch League. So that is where we're going to be heading next. We've had a little bit of a swap around. Hanzuki swapped out for House of Homie. So House of Homie is going to be playing on the side of Titans on this next map.
And Pro, I think we're trying to, I don't know if they're going to be swapping them out yet, but they just got Trickster in here, which we've known in previous matches is a very strong DPS, but also a really good healer. He is a man of many talents, I would say, for their team, and it's sometimes Pro's secret weapon.
We're going to be seeing if Pro brings him in. Doesn't look like they're going to be bringing him in quite yet. They haven't called for it. So they may decide to do that. We may be seeing a Trickster come out, and maybe he has something up his sleeve. So, yeah, Hollywood, it is a hybrid map for to see how they take the point and then escort the payload through the remaining 2 checkpoints. So, doesn't look like Trickster is going to be playing. We're going to be going into the map. So, it is a moving front line in the second half, and at the first, it is a point take. So that is why we see some different things come out, possibly some changing compositions. We're just going to have to see what these people do once they start picking their heroes.
One thing we are going to have to keep the eye is, Titans 200 or 100 zeroed both their maps on the last, which was a control style map. So it's good. I feel it's going to be hard for Pro to get past this first stage of the map while Titans are on the defense. But I feel if they can overcome this, they might have a shot on the moving portion of this map.
Maybe when they're not trying to just butt up against Titan's incredible front line, they're going to have a little bit more luck. For now, we're just going to have to see what the compositions are going to be. So looking at this, it doesn't look like we're going to be... It looks like we are going to be getting Goats out from the side of Pro on their attack round, whereas Titans is going to be going the more traditional 2-2-2.
The Goats might be here as a smart pick because they know they have to get in there, have that moving meat shield, so to say, and they have to break through the defensive, which Goats is a good option in this case to do so, but they probably will want to switch off it once they do get to the mobile setting. We could probably see the standard 2-2-2 come out from Pro afterwards.
Alright, Goats is all about getting on top of your enemy and not engaging at long range. So, will they be able to do that? Also, Goats does require a lot of teamwork.
And we can see if that comes out. Wolfpack and Casual have established themselves on this team for a couple of weeks now since they moved up. So I feel that's been enough time for them to do some damage here.
Helix Snake getting a little bit of charge from a Fire Strike right at the beginning, while some blows are being exchanged. And now Pro, they're trying to get up in there. A good stun on Reboot means that he isn't going to be able to get the charge off, but Nethel does get taken out by surprise, so it is even so far. And now it is just more brawls trying to get onto the point. Pro, since they don't have that protective shield, they're trying to just close the distance and get on top of Titans. Looks like they're doing that so far, with 3 more on the side of Titans falling, and that is the last one. This looks like it's going to be a point take so far.
That was really good right there. Most times when you lose your main tank, especially, you want to back out, but they had already traded the main tank of Titans as well, so they kept, the decision was made to actually stay in there, and they kept going, and they did pretty well now that they got on top of it. But now let's see if they can keep it on the mobile, or if they should. I feel like they should switch to a more mobile comp, because now we had, they're pushing up and no one's really pushing the payload.
If they can make sure that they can just jump on top of the enemy, they may be able to continue to run this Goats. But with Hot Pockets 22 now on the far, they're going to have issues with that, because the only person they have on their team that can really deal with that in any way would be D.Va combined with Casual OpSec. Casual OpSec able to just put some, trash damage up there with that Discord Orb, might be able to open up. Dang's able to boost up there and get some damage. But for now, we're going to have to look at what is happening on the ground. The shield is up, and Reboot is being very aggressive, trying to push forward, and the Graviton Surge comes out. And both support ults are going to be used to try and keep them alive, and the Hammer Down does come through, but it isn't going to catch anybody, and 3 in return from Reboot. But the Transcendence does come through to try and keep everybody alive, though Nethel has fallen. But it looks like Pro, they don't care. They're still pushing up, and it looks like it's working out for them so far, with Quaking Punch being the next one to fall. They're to stay aggressive, staying on top of the enemy. Wolfpack just up there as Brig, making sure to get the stuns off, and that is going to be a one fight for Pro.
They're definitely taking a full advantage of what Goats is meant for. A lot of damage and a lot of healing. They're doing this really well, and it's very shocking that they're able to counter the Pharah, although we do have that ult coming alongside, so it could be deadly, and we have Reboot on the Hammond, which is meant to split up the Goats.
And he is doing a good job with it now, with Nethel being the first one to fall. But 3 have fallen in return. It seems like he just isn't able to put out quite as much damage. And since it was a replacement for Rhine, there is really no protection for their team.
I think that the idea there for the Hammond, but it is not going to be as effective as one, especially now that we're moving into the indoor portion of this map, that they don't have a lot of room for Hammond to be as effective. They want more of the Rhine to do zone control, or maybe even a dive.
Looks like they are keeping it for now. He just went in there and got a little bit of knock-up. And both teams are just exchanging pot shots at this long range on this straight, trying to do a little bit of damage. Reboot right in there, getting a big knock-up and getting a lot of ultimate charge from that. And the Graviton Surge does come through. And there are the Dragons. It's doing a lot. And House of Homie getting a ton of kills. And even though Danks got 2 with the nuke, it is not enough.
That was a really, really good timed ult. That's why I understand why they were keeping the Zarya. I was wondering why they're keeping around, but then I noticed that they had both the Graviton Surge and the Dragons online, and like that is going to be huge once they get on point, and they proved it pulled a full reset on the team, almost getting a team kill on the side of Pro.
Mind that Reboot does have ult and just got in there, you know, hit a few people to make sure they got it, and it is going to be used, dropping mines all over the side of Pro, but the Transcendence is going to be burned to keep everybody alive, but that does mean the Transcendence is now down. He gets back in there again and knocks everybody up, but there isn't really any follow there. They're having to fall back. Casual OpSec ended up running into one of the mines and died, and Elfie getting knocked into it by Reboot. A really great follow-up there, just making sure that he's knocking people into those mines, and that now Pro, they're having to run away, but Reboot doesn't want to let them, going in for one last knockup for the ult charge.
That is really, they're using really most effective of their ults, the high mobility characters, and these zoning ults and control, keeping their goats set up, spread out, and not even able to keep that strong meat shield together, which then as goats begin to break up, they start to become ineffective. And we have another ult come out from the side of Reboot.
Hammond can get ult charge very, very quickly by knocking up a lot of people. Nethel right in the front line trying to do a little bit of damage, but the Mei was there to slow him down, make sure that he wasn't able to do as much as he wanted to. The Coalescence is going to hang out, and Hot Pockets does use the Rocket Barrage. It does knock Danks out of the mech, but he was too close and ended up getting burned. And now a little bit of engage from Titans while they take out 2 more, and now it is just Danks trying to get away and does manage to do so.
I feel like Pro needs to start realizing that they were running these high mobility, and they either need to switch up their comp or utilizing the stun capacity of the Brig to try to neutralize that Hammond, because right now he is being one of the bigger threats in splitting up their goats composition.
Making sure that the Discord orb is on him as well does go a long way. He is a very big hitbox. Even though he has a lot of health, may not be enough. The Blizzard is going to be coming through, but the Coalescence is burned to keep everyone alive and healthy through it. Elfie having to back off a little bit, and Wolfpack is going to be the first one to fall. The Mei wall does cut the side of Pro in half a little bit, and it's going to be Nethel that falls next. And now Titans, they have their opportunity. They're pushing forward, and they are taking advantage of it, taking out the rest of Pro and pushing it back into the spawn.
I think what Pro could really even do, because they have Titans is really hard counter right now, but they keep trying to push in just because they have the ult. Sometimes it could be good to waste ult instead of wasting the time that you have, because they have 1:30 left on the clock, and they don't have a lot of time left. If they switch 2 heroes that can start countering these high mobility characters, they can get ult charge up and get it to that final push that they might need.
And it seems like they're having a little bit of an issue dealing with the Mei and the Mei walls as well. The Graviton Surge does come through. It does catch a lot of people, but Quaking Punch does use the Transcendence to keep everyone alive and healthy. The mines do come out, and it is going to catch Wolfpack, but House of Homie is down, so that may be their opportunity. Reboot on the backline, knocking up the supports and getting out alive. Thanks to the Zarya bubble, Danks is there trying to deal a little bit of damage and did manage to take out Hot Pocket. Nethel charging to the backline to manage to take out 1, but does fall in return. And Reboot is just back in there, knocking everyone up and doing quite a bit of damage, and then just running away afterwards is being pretty effective so far. but House of Homie does fall. We're right at the end, right at the final push. It's going to be Titan's last chance, and end of this here, the Graviton Surge does come through, but Casual Obsec is keeping everyone alive thanks to that Transcendence. And Ulceration has used the Coalescence, but it has now burned out. The Hammer Down does come through, and it catches 2 Quaking Punches in a little bit of trouble, while Danks is going after him and does manage to get it. The Blizzard now, it keeps him alive, and the Transcendence isn't here, but the nuke does come through, and it catches Surprise. They may still have an opportunity. The Rocket Barrage does come through, but he does get knocked down. This is just a push right for the end. Reboot is on there, but does get stunned out, and he does fall. Now it's Quake Punch trying to get on there, trying to deal a little bit of damage and stall the point out a little bit longer. Ulceration is the last one to fall, and that is going to be a 100% push from the side of Pro.
That was really good push in the very end, but I feel like they still should have switched early on because they did waste a lot of time. They had 4 minutes going into that last push. It was only 1:30 extra time on them because of this small area they had to push, but they did manage to make it work again, but they had to rely too much on their ults to get that done.
So that was a pretty good offense, and it does create the opportunity for a round 3 and 4, but for now it is round 2. So they're going to have to figure out what to do with this, push. Are is Titans going to go goats as well? Or are they going to stick to their conventional 2-2-2 that they've been running so far? Kind of to see when this timer runs out.
Yeah, I'm very interested. I think Pro will be sticking to Ghost though, which they are, except for they have the May instead of the Snoats. The Snoats comp. I've ran this comp a few times. I feel like they're going to use it to hold that middle room there to try and contest, but it is definitely a deadly comp to work with since you have the May in there to freeze target. But we do have the 2-2-2 coming out from the side of Titans with the Ryan Zarya, McCree Hanzo, and the Moira Zen, which could break up this Snoats comp, but they're going to have to play it well.
Now, Goats does require a lot of teamwork, and it is not the end-all be-all. So a 2-2-2 with a little bit better communication should be able to win against a Goats composition if it is played well. So we have Surprise getting a little bit of charge there to do a little bit more damage, and Pro, they're holding up pretty far. They're wanting to be able to jump on top as soon as this corner is turned, because your Goats, you want to have that close range fight, and it looks like they're just trying to wait for a few people to pass through so then they can try and wall those people off. But Titans, they seem to know what the jig is, and the wall does come through, but it doesn't catch anybody off, and now that the wall is down, Titans is going to be making their move. They're pushing forward. They have that Hanzo on the top line, and Helix Snake is going to fall from them. So now that House of Homie manages to do that. Reboot charges to the back line, but does get killed. So now no main tank on either side, while Neville is going to fall. So now is the time for a push. Ulceration already does have the Coalescence and is pushing everyone back up onto the stairs. And with Alfie getting stunned out by the flashbang, is going to fall to it. And just a lot of aggression coming from the side of Titans while they're pushing everyone into there. And Wolfpack just gets clotheslined by a Fire Strike, and it looks like this point is going to be taken.
That was really nice push there. They didn't really waste any time with that. They saw what they were kind of doing and recognized it as much as they could. They recognized the push and the comp they're running, noticed the May, and they worked around it. And they did really well. The communication was very on point. They put House of Homies on there, not really being noticed up on that top line, and then he started getting the picks, and once he got the pick, Titans moved in and was able to then clean up the rest of the point.
Once you know that the May is down, you can be a lot more aggressive. A big hammer down from Reboot. Gets 4 people on the side of Pro. Managed to take on Nethel and knock out Helix Snake from the mech. And with 2 more kills following up, that was a great opportunity taken by Titans.
Now we see Titans making a really good push and leaving Quaken on the point. That is really nice, knowing how they're running that, how Pro is running that very solid, not really mobile comp. And creating as much space as possible, trying to keep them in that corner and just push all their damage towards it.
So now Nethel does have the Hammer Down in return, and the Graviton Surge to come out on both sides, and the Dragons barely miss the Graviton Surge that was catching Pro rather, and they ended up surviving it. So now a little bit of follow-up from Pro. Looks like they're going to be able to do it so far, and there is no main tank on the side of Titans, and they are recognizing that, and they are backing off.
That really nice. I need to stop saying that, but it was really nice comeback from the side of Pro, picking off targets and just giving the call. Their communication's starting to come back. They started off this round a little rough in the second round of it, but they are doing a comeback really well. The House of Homie's gotten 2 picks already, which could be huge in this next push.
I know those just coincidental picks are pretty great, but Ulceration does get picked out by Nethel's charge, but Nethel is going to fall in return. Looks like Pro is finally going to have to give up this checkpoint, while Reboot is just swinging away and getting any stragglers.
Alright, we're seeing a really similar time on the side of Titans that Pro had on their offensive push. But let's just see if Pro can manage the same stronghold that Titans put up on them, their defense.
It seems like they were maybe just a little bit too aggressive, a little bit too casual, and that is why some of them ended up getting picked off by House of Homie. And, same thing here, House of Homie catching casual obstacle. You have to make sure you're either behind cover or behind a shield. Hot Pockets rather trying to get up there, getting a little bit of a stun off on to Nethel, but nothing is going to come of it so far, although Nethel is looking pretty low, a little bit worse for wear, but the Sound Barrier does come through to keep him alive, and managed to take out Reboot, and the nuke does come through, doesn't catch anybody though, but Surprise is going to fall. So now Pro, they're trying to get on top of Titans while Titans is trying to retreat, and Helix Snake does manage to just put a bunch of rockets into Hot Pocket's face, and that is going to be the defense from Pro.
That really nice combination of Volt there. They still have the Rally and the Shatter online, but we do have 5 ults coming on the side of Titans, and Graviton's Hordes coming up really shortly, so all it will take will be one team fight to push it really far, as we have a triple high noon come out from Hot Pockets.
A really great Earth Shatter there. It seems like Reboot is doing a great job of getting in the mind of Nethel and waiting for the moment the shield is down to use the Earth Shatter. We've seen it multiple times now, and that was a great setup for the high noon. So now it's going to be the last push, and they're looking pretty good so far. A Hammer Down does come through, but since Transcendence was already up, everyone is going to be okay on the side of Titans, and the Dragons come through as the final nail into the coffin for Pro. Round 2 is going to be completed.
That triple high noon really set the stage for this push, getting all of it and going in and create space, just taking advantage of the 3 characters being down, and then just being able to come in, getting the picks they need, cleanups while they're staggering in, and just that Dragons at the end, just clearing off, asserting Titans dominance, starting to throw Pro from a loop, and now all Pro can do is potentially get a draw here if they can hold this for 2 minutes and 30 seconds for only 1 tick.
And that was, just really good ult economy, making sure that you were holding the ults right until right at the end where you could use them, and make sure that, no matter what Pro tried to do, they wouldn't be able to get onto the point. So now we're going to be looking at the next 2 rounds. Both teams managed to push it to the end, but Titans did it a lot faster. They have 2 minutes and 39 seconds left for them, and the other side is only going to have 1 minute once we get to that. But
no, since the first point was a control point map, they will be, if Titans only needs to cap 1 tick of this map to secure the victory. Otherwise, they can only get a defense or a draw from the side of Pro.
I always forget that they changed how that works, but yeah. So it's going to be a little bit interesting. Helix Snake is going to be playing the Symmetra. So, we don't get to see that a whole lot, but does a great job of slowing people down and just dealing a lot of coincidental damage on the back, and good teamwork can use those teleporters properly. And it seems like House of Homie is just going to be setting up on that backline. We are seeing a little bit of work from the turrets, but it's nothing that's going to really change a whole lot, while the fight actually has House of Homie using the concussion mines to get all the way onto the back line, very aggressive, and ends up dying in return, but that may be enough for them to push forward. Wolfpack does fall, and Reboot does managed to get away from a little bit of an aggressive engage thanks to the Zarya bubble. And a great charge on the side of Nethel, but it was just a little bit too much, and you ended up charging a Zarya. And obviously could survive from that, and Nethel was just too far in to do anything, and ended up falling. And now it looks like Titans is just going to be able to clear the point and take the game here.
That Winston was definitely good to counter those stim turrets. It was not really going to be that big of a problem like Pro was planning on it, and they were able to do a really strong push, committing to the push, not falling back, and did a pretty good job splitting up the team, and allowed for the easy cleanup at that end there to secure the 2-0 against Pro.
You know, and here we're seeing House of Homie on the Hanzo, and that is what we were seeing a lot with. He was getting really, really good picks, but you know, that is just every Hanzo's wet dream, seeing a big Graviton surge and just setting the dragons into it. That was just a perfect setup and a great execution on the side of Titans.
That it was, let's see.
So we're going to be going into our halftime show now. Everyone stick around while we go into our next two maps. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back from the halftime. Hope you enjoyed that little video presentation. So far, Titans is looking pretty good. They have taken this so far 2-0. First, they had a really great showing on Ilios, taking both of the points 100-0. And then on this, both teams push it all the way to the end. But Titans did it a lot faster. And on the next round, all they had to do was take the first tick, and they did that on the first push with a very slow and calculated push. So far, they are looking pretty strong. So, next map is going to be Junkertown.
Junkertown is definitely, it's a little different between the control point maps, which we noticed Titans are really good for, but both teams are really good at pushing the card as well. But this map is just a straight S-chord push, and it's very, very open in the first portion of the map, which can provide for some very interesting strategies that come out from both attack and defense.
One thing I do love about this map is this really huge open area right on the first point, because we have a lot of long-range heroes that can shine on there. In the Overwatch League, at least, we see a lot of Widowmaker, although Goats has been more popular as of late. And also, on the attacking side, we do see the pirate ship composition come out, where you have an Orisa just protecting a Bastion who's being damage boosted by a Mercy, and they can just kind of run through, and if a team isn't able to engage on top of it, then it's going to be a really rough time for them. But for now, we're still getting some interesting picks. So on the defense side, Hot Pockets is going to be playing the Hammond, and there is also going to be House of Homie on the Roadhog to be the off tank in this situation.
One strategy I've noticed, especially this very popular on the attacking side, if you look at Pro, I don't know if they're going to keep it like this, but the 4 DPS coming out with a Mercy and a mobility tank as well.
Yeah, I kind of doubt they're going to keep that. With Trickster swapping as well.
Yeah.
Looks like they're going to be doing... Helix Snake is actually going to be playing Widowmaker. I thought he was going to stick on the Bastion there. Not always difficult, looking at the defense composition, because they always swap it around right at the end. But Helix Snake trying to get a little bit of damage on the House of Homie. And look at Hot Pockets just getting right into the enemy team and getting a big knockup.
Definitely going to be really ham and shine here. You got these little overpasses that he can swing along and disrupt the team. They were seeing Goats come out from Pro on the map and the moving, so I think they were expecting to counter a Goats again, but they're still doing it pretty well and adjusting to the comp without having to really switch much heroes.
Hanzuki ended up missing the flashbang there, but there was still enough damage fallout to take out Nethel. So now Pro doesn't have a main tank, but since the spawn is so close, he will be back pretty soon. So Titans are doing a good job making sure they don't get a little bit too aggressive.
And I think Quaking on this Mercy is also going to be really helpful. They're able to damage boost heroes like the Pharah or other characters, and that res, especially now that Titans have the long defensive spawn, it will allow them to get their characters back a lot quicker.
Also, also watch that they are not using the Mercy as a main healer. They do also have the Moira. I think that is a very good decision, especially when you're playing a comp with no defensive shield for people to hide behind. There is going to be a lot of just coincidental damage coming onto the team. So Moira able to get that group healing is going to work pretty well.
One thing, although they do have to watch out for, is the casual aspect on his end, getting those Discords orb, as well as Titans does not have a defensive ult to get in there for a strong shatter or a blade. They don't have that to counteract some of these ults coming on from Titan or Pro.
The mines do come down from Hot Pockets, but it isn't going to catch anybody. And we're going to be seeing Trickster using the Coalescence to try and keep them alive and do a little bit of damage onto those. The Rocket Barrage does come through, and he surprise manages to catch Casual OpSec, but does fall in return, as you would expect against a team with McCree. But now it seems like Titan is doing a pretty good job of making sure that they are taking that advantage and managed to take out Nethel while they were doing so, and they could revive Hot Pockets. So Quaking Punch doing a good job of staying behind and reviving people when in opportune moments and not being a little bit too aggressive in that.
Yes, one thing that like we've seen before is Titans has a lot of good ult management, not using all their ults at once, and able to get their ults online pretty quick. We have the High Noon coming on pretty well, but we do have and it gets 3 or 1, and then surprise taking out 2.
They did a great job of trying to shut down Hot Pockets, but they maybe spent a little bit too much time looking at that, and they weren't paying enough attention to what was happening around them. And with Quake and Punch getting another res onto Hot Pockets, make sure that he doesn't have to come all the way back. They are having a really great hold here.
Yes, this is definitely very shocking. You normally don't see people hold it this far forward. You normally see them get around the corner at this back line. But they're doing really well keeping this push strong, and they're just doing a lot of things. We see the Graviton Surge come out from Pro.
Helix Snake using the High Noon and try and zone everyone off, and Quake Punch is going to get caught by it while trying to get back to the team. And with Ulceration dying as well, that is going to be a lot of healers down on the side of Titan. So they're backing off. They use the Dragons there and split the team up a little bit, but they can maneuver out of it pretty quickly. And now Danks does have a little bit of charge to his name, sitting on 55, going to be able to do some decent damage on this next fight. 10 seconds left. Question is, will Titans be able to contest the point? It looks like Hot Pocket is going to try dropping the mines down. And now, getting that little bit of damage. They're doing a good job so far. Casual OpSec dropped really low, but ended up surviving. And that means that they are going to be able to hold this so far, and Titans is going to have a rough time. In fact, they aren't going to be able to take it. The point is taken.
Even with those 2 picks on both their DPS, Pro just kept pushing along, and Titans were not able to get enough picks fast enough to really stop them from that final stretch there on the foot, and allowing for a cap and another 2 minutes on the side of Pro.
And that extra time may be what they need. I mean, they managed to just take the push right at the end, and that was what they needed. Now, Hot Pocket's trying to get up onto the high ground, ended up not really catching anybody with that, but just clearing that off is very valuable. And now, rushing in there, getting a lot of knockbacks, but the anti-nade almost takes him out. The Coalescence wasn't able to heal him, but they did manage to get away. Wolfpack taking out Surprise. Now that they have that hit scan, they're going to be able to deal with that far a little bit better. And, they're going to have a little bit more range, and Wolfpack is going to be able to set back farther up. But House of Homie taking out his rival Sniper there. High Noon coming out, and Hanzuki does catch it and manage to kill Casual OpSec with the flashbang. So now Hot Pockets is trying to push up and trying to catch people out. Trickster on the break, getting a little bit caught out and just accepting his death and taking the respawn.
So now they found out one counter to the Hammond, which was a good problem, but now they need to find a counter to both House of Homie and Hanzuki. They are House of Homie 2 times in a row getting picks off on both DPS, like one after another. But they do have the Ana there to sleep Hot Pocket, so he's not able to be as mobile as he normally is.
And House of Homie there getting another great pick onto Wolfpack. Wolfpack maybe being just a little bit too aggressive there. Hot Pockets in the back trying to catch people out. And the Dragons force Pro off the high ground. And that means that Titans does have the positional advantage since they have Hanzuki up on the top. They're able to dish out damage from above. The Rocket Barrage does come through, as well as the Valkyrie and the Mines. But it is going to be a team wipe with only 30 seconds left. Pro does not have a lot of time.
One thing is, that was really nice Dragon Threat. Get them off the high ground, realizing where they were and knowing where they could take advantage of it, and just being able to force them down to the bottom was definitely a smart call and a good use of the Dragons. Even though it didn't get any picks, it was forcing their patrol to drop down the high ground, and Pro just needs to get control of that high ground and have if they on any shot at keeping pushing this.
Hot Pocket is trying his best to keep everybody away, but it isn't going to be quite enough. The Graviton Surge does come through, but nobody's going to die. Now that O.C.C is using the Coalescence, they may be able to pull this through and get a great defense. Although the rally has been used as well as the Nano Boost for Nethel, and with a little bit of knockdown as well. Hot Pockets just barely survives, but Nethel is not done and is charging back in. Is knocked back by Hot Pockets, but Hot Pockets, getting stunned afterwards, having to be a little bit careful, but is going to survive for now, and just going back onto that backline, trying to keep everybody up. Ulceration looking a little bit worse for wear here, might be able to get away, uses the Shadow Step to get away, but still right in the middle of it, and ends up dying. The Dragons do come through, trying to keep everybody in the Dragons, and it does work. The knockup managing to catch Wolfpack and Nethel, and that means that they die to the Dragons. Hanzuki does fall to the Anti-Nate, and the mines are down, but nobody's going to be caught by it. It wasn't quite on the payload, and Hot Pockets is going to fall, so it looks like another checkpoint for the side of Pro.
I saw what they were doing there, and it was really good. They were able to keep the Dragons. They took out the main shield, which would have been a problem for Hot Pockets' mine, but he just placed it a little too far back. Payload was moving too forward. It wasn't able to do as much effective. That could have been a game changer there if he had moved his mines, if he had placed his mine just a little closer to the checkpoint.
And we've seen a little bit of swap around on the side of Titans. Now we're seeing House of Homie on the Soldier, now that there aren't quite as many long sight lines for the Hanzo. Quaking Punch does get taken out by the High Noon from Wolfpack, and that means that Titans, they had to play a little bit defensively here, but Hot Pockets, he says no. He's just rushing into there, trying to get ult charge by knocking everyone up. The Rocket Barrage does come through from Surprise, but it doesn't catch anybody, and Surprise is promptly slept. So Pro, they're looking a little bit better now. They're able to push a little bit more strongly, and the Helix Snake with the Dragon Blade, Nano Boosted Dragon Blade, manages to catch two in quick succession, and is now looking onto the back, but the blade is done and isn't able to use the shurikens to get enough of a secure onto Ulceration. But, we're coming up onto the end, just 17 seconds left.
One thing that we need to see here is just to really regroup, to use that little time. There's not much time left, and they do have the spawn advantage, so the Titans need to use this, get separate group, and then just get on top of Pro if they have any chance of stopping the push right here. But they are at least going to give it into overtime, and we'll see how it goes.
Hanzuki being a little bit too aggressive there, and ended up getting hooked by Danks and does fall. But now the spawn advantage is in the side of Titans, and the mines do come through, but Trickster is going to get caught by them. Quite a bit of damage coming through there. Surprised, and Hot Pockets ended up getting caught by the Hammer Down, and Hot Pockets isn't able to get onto the point in time.
That was really nice. We saw Hanzuki starting to get picked from the Bastion, but the way he was set up back there, no one able to really touch the point, and I saw what they were going for there, but it didn't work. But they did manage to hold him long enough to get into the overtime, so we could see a full push from Titans and then put into a 1-1 round, or another series of rounds for the push, or Pro could stop them here, and then Pro will take the victory here on Junkertown.
And that will be the day for them if they do it, but they had to push it all the way to the end. But, like you said, since Pro did do it in overtime, anything that they have is only going to be extra for them. So they're just going to be wanting to do it as fast as possible. So we're going to have to see what composition they bring out to try and do that.
So we got here on Titans, we have Hanzuki on the Widow, and we have Hot Pockets running the Hammer again, very effective against their comp. And then we see House of Homie on the Tracer trying to get into their backline, and that's a far as well. So they're only relying on one main healer, and then one tank, no shields. Although it can work, I've seen it work before. But let's see if they keep that up.
We've seen this done oftentimes as goats. You have just a lot of aggression thanks to the Hammond, and if you have the DPS able to follow up on it, then you're able to burn through those very large health pools very quickly. But Pro is not running goats. Instead, they're running a more traditional 2-2-2.
And especially holding that high ground, Hammond is not going to be very effective on that. It might be more effective they can get him off, which Farr did boop him down and start trying to get them on that lower ground where Hammond will be a lot more effective. But we have no one pushing the cart. They're going to like C9 in early on.
Well, right now they're just trying to take the offensive, trying to catch some people out, and they are going to be getting onto the point. Helix Snake, very aggressive there, and is looking pretty low, and does fall to Hanzuki. Just the SMG coming out from the Widowmaker, and was not able to counter that apparently. And also thanks to the Coalescence Orb being sent up there from the side of Pro that O.C.C did a great job supporting there. So Hot Pockets on that front line trying to do a little bit of damage, and Casual OPSEC did fall there, and a very aggressive res does get O.C.C back up, and it is going to get immediate payoff with O.C.C managing to take down Nethel. This is a great offensive from the side of Titans.
Which I think it is a really good option, because in aggression, like all they have here is to get in there as fast as possible to get as much time as possible. They got it there. They have 5 minutes now on the clock, where at this point they only had Pro had a minute 30 to get it around. Well, 2 minutes. It was 2 minutes. Go ahead.
Hanzuki is way back there, and I thought that Helix Snake was maybe going to try to go for it, but instead, Summer is just going to be going back towards the team. Getting hacks off onto the health packs there can give them a lot of extra healing, and it could sustain them through a little bit. And we saw House of Homie being very aggressive there, but managed to get out alive. Hot Pockets on the high ground getting a little bit of a ground pound off, but nothing too much is going to come off there. Although Nethel's barrier is now down. House of Homie is on a little bit of a flank and is going to have to 1v1 Danks now for a little bit. We are going to be seeing a Trickster use the route Hot Pockets while he's trying to get up there, and that rally is going to keep everyone alive and topped off, and that health is going to keep everyone alive in this next fight. The Coalescence does come through from Ulceration, trying to do a little bit of damage, but it doesn't really deal enough damage for it to be enough. Although the Mines is enough, Trickster is going to fall, and Casual OPSEC almost ended up getting caught there, but it doesn't matter. The Mines were enough to zone everybody off, and Titans, they're just pushing up so quickly. They're looking at the second checkpoint already.
Right now, they're really focusing down the 3 DPS. They're not able to counter it well. We see to try with the Sombra to counteract the Hammond, but it just wasn't working. Now they have the McCree and the Hanzo to try to counteract the Farr, which is just pumping in so much damage, as well as Trace is just going in there and getting in their backline, distracting them much like Hammond does, and spinning them for a ride, so to say.
They're taking a very aggressive hold though, and even though Hot Pockets did fall, we'll be able to get back to the fight very quickly because, it is Hammond, so we're able to do that fairly well. House of Homie is doing a great job of getting onto the back line and causing a lot of trouble, and we've seen him just do a really good job of getting good picks off, and is going to be able to dodge Wolfpack's flashbang. Hanzuki just getting up on the high ground and trying to push them back. A lot of shots coming through, but none of them connecting. But there is one. Helix Snake does fall. And with Hot Pockets back onto the back line, is slept, is stunned in return. Actually tried to use the ultimate and ended up getting canceled out. So that is going to be no Mines onto the point for the side of Titans. A pretty devastating stun there, but looks like they aren't too phased by it. They're still holding up pretty far, taking the fights. House Homie does land a pulse bomb onto Trickster, but a stun in return does going to mean that House Homie is going to fall. A Coalescence coming from the side of from Ulceration. You're trying to do a little bit of damage, trying to pick people off. Does manage to pick off Helix Snake, but Nethel is nano boosted, and with a big hammer down is able to get a kill. Although Hot Pockets is able to kill both of them, both Casual OPSEC and Nethel. We are going to be seeing a Hammond from Danks in return.
That was really they were Pro was coming back with the push. The nanoed Rhine, always a very scary thing to run into, but Hot Pockets staying composed, able to slam down on the Yana and then finish off a low Rhine right there, able to keep this strong push alive and allowing for his team to regroup at the end. We got Quaking going on into Rise Hanzuki, which is doing a lot of pick damage from the top, and they're just doing this. They're taking this 3 DPS really well, and as we have House of Homie switch to the Ash, they could keep it well. All we need is Pro to Just stay composed, stay grouped, and start realizing the threats and pushing them off like Hanzuki just died right there.
How's a homie doing a great job picking up 2 kills. Ash is a little bit better than Widowmaker on this last bit. There isn't as many good places to stand to get good picks, and Danks does get 2 kills in return. Although there are 2 minutes and 39 seconds left for them, so Titans, they have time to take these fights as they please, and they will be ahead if they do manage to take the point.
Yes, and one thing here is now that Pro has the spawn advantage, they're able to group up a lot quicker, but we will have that Bob coming in soon from House of Homie, and that could be a game changer here with this hit scan tank character they're bringing in on the side of Hot Pockets, with Hot Pockets alongside Hot Pockets as well.
Hot Pocket is just trying to get ult charge and has gotten it. Drops the mines, but no one is going to die quite yet. Casual Object took a lot of damage and ended up taking a rocket to the face and does die. The dragons do come through from the side of Pro, but it isn't going to catch anybody right now. And ulceration on the Moira, using the Coalescence, trying to push forward, and ends up catching out Wolfpack with a well-placed damage orb. Helix Snake dealing quite a bit of damage to Hot Pockets, but Hot Pockets is going to survive for now, but is trying to get onto the backline and trying to get heals. Does manage to find it from Ulceration, although Ulceration is now taking a little bit of damage, but does get away. Bob is here, and he's knocking everyone up, and he's doing quite a bit of damage. Although the mines do come out, Bob does take a little bit of damage, but it is not enough to take him down, and he does manage to take out a Casual Obsec, and is doing just a lot of damage from behind. You see Danks taking a lot, but is it going to be enough to take everybody else out? And a big high noon from Wolfpack gets 3. Hanzuki tried to return, but just got stunned out instantly.
One thing that Titan's going to really need to rechange their strategy, and they're going to have to... They got the barrage coming in from Surprise, but I don't know if it'll be enough since since Pro is staggering out a little too much, and they're kind of playing pretty far off, so it's all going to depend on how they can use their ults widely and try to get them grouped up and get a good barrage off. Otherwise, I don't know how much well this final push is going to be.
So Nethel has switched over to the Winston to try and get up onto the high ground and get those people who've been really pesky there. Hanzuki, he's been very, very aggressive this game, and ended up getting caught out there from Nethel, who just jumped on top of him. Hot Pockets does get a kill on the Casual Offset, but Nethel's on that front line doing a little bit of damage, but there's enough support from the side of Titans to keep everybody alive and healthy. The mines do come through and manage to catch Wolfpack, and the ground power was enough to take out Nethel, and Ulceration doing the damage with the Coalescence managed to take out Helix Snake. That may be enough, but the respawns are going to be time to contest this payload a few more times, and right now they actually are contesting it on that backline thanks to Danks, who's just causing a lot of issues, and the dragons do come through and manage to catch 2. How's a homie and Quaking Punch didn't realize where the dragons were. They're actually sort of underground and got caught out by it. Nethel taking out Ulceration on that front line and doing a good job of it. And a lot of just trades back and forth here. The question is, will Titans be able to contest the point long enough for everyone to get back to the point and be able to contest it with them? Surprise did bring out the rocket barrage there, but it was not enough to keep everybody alive. Now we see Quaking Punch on there trying to contest the point with the Valkyrie. It was enough to revive Surprise. That is going to be a big revive. They're going to be able to hold this point a little bit longer. Hot Pockets, getting onto the back line, getting that ground pound, doing quite a bit of damage, but it's going to be the side of Titans that falls, and finally Pro getting the first map of today.
One thing you definitely don't like seeing, and you just know it's kind of really a lost fight, is when you do stagger on the attack side, when you don't have that long difference. And we have Wolfpack here really changing the game with, I believe it's High Noon that got it, yes it is. And that was a really nice resetter where they could have, Titans could have came back and finished this push, but this 3-pick was definitely real game changer and established Pro and getting them their first win for the night.
Going to be a great win. It seems like they've warmed up a little bit and are really starting to communicate a little bit more. I think that maybe Titans could have brought out a little bit more defense on that last push, because you really do have to just take out waves of enemies as they're coming in from the spawn. It seems like they weren't able to sustain through all of that, but their aggression was able to get them there very, very well. So we're going to have to be looking at our last, or what could be the last map of today. It's going to be our 4th one. If Pro does take it, then we're going to be going into our 5th, which is going to mean that there is opportunity for a reverse sweep here from Pro.
It'll all depend. We have seen Titans dominant on these control style maps tonight, and it will all matter if Pro can really counter Titans' strong defensive hold on these control style. So I gotta do some team swaps here, or some player swaps. And then we'll just get going into our fourth map. Could be our final, but
in them guys. They can do
we
it.
might get map 5 if Pros come around.
It could happen, say in the chat if you wanted. So Hanzuki is going to be swapped out for Reboot, and Elfie is going to be coming in for Casual Offset. So, OPSEC rather. So, yeah, Titan or Pro, they're really showing up a little bit more. They had a lot better coordination. They're staying behind their tanks and being aggressive when they need to, and doing also a really great job of catching members of Titans when they're out of position. I think that, you know, Titans, they're really, really aggressive, and they've done a great job of that, but oftentimes individual members have been a little bit too aggressive and been out of position. But Pro, they haven't done a really great job of engaging on that, and because of that, Titans ended up getting away with a lot of it. But I think in that last match, they're doing a lot of a better job of dealing with that, you know, those few positional problems.
Yeah, it's once you find them out of position, it's definitely that's when Titans are starting to fall apart. They got the strong position hold, but once one of them like overstepped or overextended, that's when they started falling apart there at the end. Alright, but we can now move into our final map, the 2 control of Hanamura.
What could be our final map.
Could be.
So Hanamura 2 CP, everybody's favorite. So first you have to take 1 point, then take the other. It's pretty simple, but in practice it is not. You have a really bad respawn disadvantage when you're on first when you're on defense on the first point, but when you're on offense on the second. So it means that the first point often gets taken and the second rarely does. So it's going to be up to the offense to be able to be coordinated enough to break down a defense and to stay alive while waves of enemies come in. And it's going to be up to the defense to make sure that they can stall people out long enough. And it's almost the other way around when they're on the first point.
Yeah, because definitely defense here, they definitely have the advantage when it comes to the map placement, because they only have 2 entrances that the choke points that the offense can move in. But like you said, once they start getting picks, that you have that long respawn disadvantage, thus allowing the offense to push through the choke once they start getting the picks. But the defense, so it's always that choke. You never really see people hold away from the choke, but then we see sim tactics come from behind and stuff, but it doesn't look like we'll be seeing that here on the first attack from Pro.
So the main thing to watch here is that House of Homie is going to be on the Mei, and basically what that is going to be trying to do is as soon as 1 or 2 people walk through the choke point, you wall them off and take them out, because then it's a 6v2 or 6v1, which then puts your team in an advantage. So it's going to be up to Pro to see if they recognize that and can get either bait out of the wall or get past the point fast enough. Seems like they're going to be taking the second option while just trying to rush past, but they aren't quite able to do it. House of Homie ended up getting the first kill there, and Titans, it was like waves crashing upon the rocks, and it just took out Pro instantly.
Definitely Pro realized what they were running, and they were able to make the swaps to the Pharah. Still running that triple support though at this moment, but Titans is running a very anti-Ghost comp with both the Reaper and the Mei trying to split up, and just Reaper being an ultimate tank buster that he is, especially with this 50% healing damage per damage he does. It will matter if they can deal with the DPS coming out from Titans as well as the coordination past this choke.
So looks like Pro is switching it up a little bit. They're going to be bringing in the Pharah, and a good hammer down is going to be followed up by a better Transcendence, keeping everybody alive. And so it's going to be Reboot getting the first kill onto Wolfpack, and a hammer down instantly wipes out Elfie, and they're able to instantly follow up onto Trickster and Nethel. Another great hold from Titans.
I think what we need to see is definitely the sweep around. That the Ghost isn't going to work here, especially with what Titans is running. I think for Pro to get past this first choke point, we might want to see the Symmetra play, where I know it's a little cheeky, but just being able to teleport behind them and just throw the Goats out of, or throw Titans defense out of disorientation might be their chance to do so.
Hot Pockets on the back there, trying to just get in there and do a little bit of damage, trying to get his ult up, but was a little bit too aggressive and ended up dying to Danks. But with Nethel falling, there is no main tank on the side of Pro to take that offensive. And so now, Pro, they're trying to just back up, maybe get a little bit of damage in there, but they know they won't be going past the choke quite yet.
No, it's actually, but Helix position there, if they didn't lose Nethel in that first fight, it could have been really devastating. Now that we have Barrage coming around from him, they're keeping their focus. They had their main tickets focused on the choke. You could have the Barrage coming out, taken out 2, but taken out by Quake and Pun.
A really great flashbang there, ended up stalling out Reboot, so Reboot wasn't able to reposition and shield any of the damage coming in. And with a sound barrier coming from Elfie, trying to keep the team alive. Hot Pocket's trying to use the Death Blossom and kill some people, but it is not enough thanks to the Transcendence, and ended up getting boops off, and or just seemed to be jumped off on his own. That is going to be the first point taken for Pro.
That was a really nice flank by, just as I was beaking it, he took it out. But that far flank was really good. The barrage as well, and the stun as well. The stun being able to set up, that was really good coordination and time. But now we're gonna see Helix go to the Symmetra on the attack. I've seen some cheeky plays on the Symmetra on the attack, but not really on the second point of Hanamura. So I don't know what he's really going for here.
Well, it looks like what they're going to be doing is they're just going to be going all the way around, but they seem to know what was going on, and a Hammer Down and Blizzard is going to be following up to try and get a little bit of damage, try and stop Pro in their tracks. Alfie was frozen, but looks like it's getting away for now, but no, is going to fall to Ulceration. That was a great defense from the side of Titans.
I wasn't even looking. I forgot completely about this left portion that is not really used that often, except for when you see the Symmetras or the flying characters. It's definitely one thing Titans recognized and was able to counteract pretty well. And if Hot Pocket's on the Bastion, which could be really effective here, especially if you can set up on that top right portion, which is very inaccessible, but that is not accessible by a Bastion without a Symmetra, so you will be seeing him being a more mobile Bastion.
Looks like he's going to be setting up on this back corner, while his shield Reboot is going to be a little bit further up. The teleporter there trying to close the gap onto the point, and Trickster getting the first kill of the fight onto Reboot. A big Hammer Down does come through from Nethel, but Nethel is going to fall. And a Graviton Surge in return does catch quite a few people on the side of Pro, but it is not enough to have anyone fall from it. And now Hot Pocket is set up way up on the high ground, and Danks is trying to respond to it, and it is enough. Hot Pockets is going to fall. This has been a great offensive from Pro. They're wanting to take this all the way to the end. Great Symmetra turret placements from Helix Snake. They're just defending this right to the end. 2 ticks, only 1 left. Will they be able to defend it? A stun says no, and that is going to be the first round.
I am speechless at this point. That was really nice communication. We were seeing them really struggling at the beginning of this map, and just getting at the beginning of this series as well. And I don't even know if I'm looking at the same team at this point. They're able to dominate Titans in these control style maps now, and just take out the Bastion, coordinate the targets, and they are really focusing and able to get the picks necessary to change the tide into the side of their favor.
That was a great offense from the side of Pro. They're so aggressive. They set up that point so well. They did a good job of responding to Hot Pockets, on that Bastion up on the high ground. That could have been bad if they didn't respond to it as quickly as they did. But you send Danks up there straight away. You have you have your Zenyatta dealing out a lot of damage onto him, and he fell pretty quickly. So now it is going to be up to Titans on their offense to see if they can be a little bit faster. But with 2 minutes and 58 seconds in the bank, that was a very good offense.
I will have to say it will all depend on if Titans can come back. We have seen them do pretty good on time-wise, but Pro has taken a lot more of a stalling style with the Reaper coming out on a defense, and we had the Ana there with their nades as well. It's going to be very, very... It's going to be very interesting to watch this, I'll say.
So, let's look at the comps a little bit. Standard 2-2-2s coming out from everybody here. So this is going to be a very classic map of Overwatch. We're not going to be seeing any Mei for the side of Pro. Instead, they're just going to be trying to get everyone, as they come through, manage to kill them. A Helix Snake on that glorious Guangzhou Spark Reaper skin. So pretty. I love it. And a little bit of offensive here from Pro, but Titan's doing a good job of making sure that they don't fall too quickly. Reboot ended up getting a little bit low, but just ducked behind the wall and stayed alive. And House Homie is going to be the first kill onto Helix Snake, but Reboot does fall in return, so no main tank on the side of Titans. They're going to have the backup while Nethel is taking the offensive, and it is paying off for them.
That was smart pick right there up by the side of Reboot. Getting the pick on Reboot there. They were starting to get really aggressive after they got the pick on Helix, but without that main tank, you really can't push past that choke because you have no shield whatsoever to defend the rest of the team to try and get into that room on the right side or try to make a break bolt to the point. It's just really hard to do.
So they went ahead to break the shield. So Helix Snake is nano boosted and he's getting in there. Takes out the first kill, surprise, and is following up with a kill onto Reboot. That's both of the tanks down for the side of Titans. They're backing up, trying to get away. Helix Snake, he's not done though. He's still in there doing damage, but that is going to be it for now. A great offensive from Pro.
Is this even the same Pro that we were watching 2 matches ago? Like, I am speechless. They are really strong. Their communication. It's like those first 2 were like the warm up. Then the 3rd round was their foothold map, and now they're just doing really well against Titan, countering almost every push that they're coming in at this point.
They do seem to just been warned up. Maybe that was all they needed. But Nethel is going to fall, and the Graviton Surge is going to be countered by the Transcendence, but it does not protect from insta-kills, and Wolfpack does get 2 with the High Noon. So Titans, they're being very, they're being very careful. They don't want to push in too far, and they are going to back off for now, and it's going to give time for Pro to get Nethel back onto that front line.
Titans are being kind of pushed in. They're trying to play a little more passively now, but they might need to start being just a bit more aggressive, not let Pro get inside their head with that victory on Junkertown, and just start playing a bit more aggressive with their team.
Not a Beyblade for the side of Pro. We haven't seen that in a long time. A nano boosted Death Blossom, and even though it was stunned out, it got a kill pretty fast, and he was able to follow up with another one. Such a great defense from Pro. This may be a full hold with only a minute left for Titans.
That was definitely a smart. Beyblade is one thing that I always love and enjoy. It's just I used to play with those toys a long while, and it's always fun to see them in Overwatch too. But we could see they're going to have to switch into the Hammer, trying to get into that backline to disrupt them up. This could be Titans come back off the boat.
The Hammer Down does catch Helix Snake, but a return from Nethel catches more and is able to get 2 kills. Hot Pockets is, trying to just get onto the back along with, House of Homie, but it isn't going to be enough to hold the point. We see Hot Pockets there onto the backline, tried to knock Nethel out of position, but he managed to get in a place where he wouldn't get knocked away so fast. A big Graviton Surge catching a lot of people, but Quaking Punch is going to return with a Transcendence. Nethel's charge catches the ulting Zen, so it isn't going to do anything so far besides putting maybe a little bit out of position, but a great healing going to be coming through and keeping him alive. And now he is nano boosted. He is not done. Charging onto the point. Good, just try to clean it up with that big hammer of his, and it's working so far. Is this even the same Pro? A full hold on point A, Hanamura.
That was really nice. You think you're trying to push with the trans. You never really want to push with the trans, especially when they have an Ana on the side, because the anti-nade can cancel a trans like that. Because while Transcendence is a very strong healing force, the anti-nade, like what Trickster did was on the Ana, he just canceled half that out and allowing them to keep those strong picks and just phenomenal work from Pro. And we are going to see a map 5, like you said. I should have bit my tongue earlier when I said this was the final map. we are going to see a map 5, and we will see the win-all-take-all between Titans and Project Proteus.
Nethel, he's been a little bit too aggressive throughout this game, but was a lot more conserved that when we saw one risky charge going in there, but he was protected by his team, able to back out of it very, very well. So, yeah, Pro seems to be doing a lot of a better now that they've kind of warmed up. Maybe they weren't able to get into game and play a few games to get to this point. So we're going to be having to go into our last game of the day. We are either going to be seeing a reverse sweep from Pro or a cleanup from Titans.
All right, I got to discuss with the captains to determine what map 5 would be. If you wanted to maybe talk about some of the things we have going on the other side of O.C.C. while I get this squared away, please.
So while we are figuring that out, first of all, I'd like to talk about our Discord if you guys want to join it. There are multiple ways to do it. The first way is to sub to our channel. Once you do, you are invited to the Discord, and you can, play with the members here, or, just join us in our Overwatch League watch parties. So, definitely do that as well. Also, if you want to join the Discord, you can apply as a player. If you are silver through diamond, you can apply and possibly join one of these teams if you want to play as Overwatch was really meant to be, in a 6-stack of people talking to each other, who aren't toxic to each other, who don't throw. It is very nice. And if you are above that, if you're Master, Grandmaster, or even top 500, you can apply for a coaching position and get some of these players up to a better level and really show them how to play the game. And there are a lot of opportunities for that there. We're also looking for people to join our stream team. If you are a fledgling camera person, if you think you can do a good job making everything look cinematic, and if you want to join us as casters, as host, doing all of this background stuff, so maybe our analyst doesn't have to do it, and keeping everything running smoothly, that would also be appreciated. Just look down below the stream and find the applications there. So it looks like our final map is going to be Lijiang Tower.
Lijiang Tower is definitely one of the maps I personally enjoy. You see, I just love it because of the aesthetic look, and you really don't even get to see it much in Overwatch League, which I wish they played it a lot more in Overwatch League, but they don't, and that's why I really enjoy when we see it out in the Scrim style. But this will be our tiebreaker.
This is where we saw the hashtag winnable play from Carpe, and who knows, maybe we're going to be seeing some good Widowmaker plays as well. Our first map is going to be Night Market, one of my personal favorites. There is a lot of knockoff capability there, really big open chasms, lots of railings, and 2 of the 3 entryways onto the point are covered or have that pit open to the back of them. So there's obviously a lot of boops that can happen there. We're going to have to wait just a little bit longer to see what comps these teams are going to be running.
Yeah, we do see the
that's a joke. That is
a joke. That is a complete
not
joke.
Going to happen.
That's not. I'm gonna yell at them later, especially Danks and Elfie, who are on our stream team, about doing that because they know it messes with us. But I'm a little disappointed that we're still not seeing Hammond play. I always love watching the little Hammonds in the center of Night Market, and it is really fun. But we will see the finalizations of these comps as we have the Brig, Moira, and heals for Pro, and just the Reaper. We got the Reaper, and
so it's a little bit of a modified Goats. We're going to be seeing Helix Snake, coming in for a Zarya, but we do still have the 3 supports. But it doesn't look like it's working so far. Lots of trades back and forth. The question is, will they be able to just get on top of everyone? Night Market is a very close quarters map. We're going to be seeing Helix Snake doing a little bit of damage, has to back away to reload, and is back on the front, dealing a lot of damage, but there aren't any kills really coming out from either side. Both teams are just trying to push each other off, getting the ult charge, and there it is, Elfie falling to Quaking Punch, and the Coalescence does come through from the side of Trickster, and managed to get a kill. Hatsuhami falling Although a sound barrier from Titans is going to be enough, it seems, to let them push forward since Reboot is back and swinging away. Helix Snake does fall, and that is going to be a point take for Titans.
No, actually, Pro was able to get in that fray. It was they were able to hold on, able to get 18% off there, because in these control point maps, once you first control a point, you're just wanting to throw bodies and get that percentiles racked up. But Titans was able to come back and take it. But they're not really getting off enough damage with just Helix on the Reaper. But we do have his Blossom coming up and 3 ults coming on the side of Pro, so this could be a return for them.
We do see a lot of ults on the map already. Look for that Graviton Surge coming from Surprise. It has just come online and is going to be looking for an opportunity. We're going to be seeing a big hammer down. It catches 3, although Nethel, it does do quite a bit and manages to take out, and Hanzuki does die, but a big Death Blossom from Helix Snake means it's going to be a team wipe and a point take for the side of Pro.
That was really nice push from there. They used their oaths really well. They had the rally to get in there and then just put Helix in there, and then they had the Blossom there to just clean out the point. They still have Nuke and Sound Barrier, which are really good defensive ults, especially on this point. But we have High Nuke coming out from House of Homie, not managed to get anything.
And also, Reboot was just really aggressive there and ended up burning the Earthshatter and instantly got killed while doing it. So now that is going to be online. That's going to be really, really tough for them because that's going to turn the ult economy over to the side of Pro, while, more of their ults are going to be coming online now. And if they can maintain that ultimate tempo, it could work for them pretty well. But Titans, they're not done yet. They're now wanting to push in, wanting to take this point, while Helix Snake right up on the front there trying to break Reboot, and he does. Nethel is going to be taking out Reboot now, and Hanzuki is flying around the point trying to do a little bit of damage, but is going to take a lot of damage in return. A Graviton Surge is going to be countered by a Transcendence, and the Rocket Barrage was just pushing into that, and so nothing is going to come of it. That is 2 ults wasted on the side of Titans, so they probably won't be able to take this point. Trickster does fall, but Helix Snake did take out Surprise. Reboot is back on that front line, 1-2 damage, and Quaking Punch has fallen, so maybe this will be what they need. Helix Snake, though, he's on the back, getting another triple with his Death Blossom, with Danks following up with it. They are going to be defending this point at 100%. There is going to be no contest. That is the first point.
That was one thing I think Titans would need to come back from this is I've noticed they were really strong at this in the beginning with their ult economy and stuff, but they need to start realizing what ults that Pro has coming on their side. They're trying to make these strong pushes with the Shatter, and Pro's just coming in with their defensive ults saying like, oh, you're going to do this? We got this. And it's not really... The planning on the side of Pro is definitely improved, and it's just Titan needs to start realizing what they might have on the side of Pro for ult-wise, bait those out, and then make their pushes.
Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised that Hanzuki decided to burn the Rocket Barrage there, not realizing that the Transcendence was up, and so making it entirely useless. If maybe that was held on to a little bit longer once Transcendence was down, it might have gotten a little bit more value. But the past is the past. We cannot change it. Now we're getting another fight. Both teams just pushing into the back area here, trying to deal some damage to each other, and it's going to be Titans that is taking the first losses, with Reboot and House of Homie falling for only Trickster. It looks like Pro, they're just taking the offensive here. They're just pushing up onto this front line with Surprise falling next. This is looking pretty good for them.
We've seen the 3 support. They're getting a lot of heals, so then they're just not... Titans is not focusing too much. They're able to get one pick here and there, but they're not focusing heroes, and it's a very important thing you need to do is to focus down heroes when you have that kind of support on a team like Pro has and run a 3 support. We're going to see Trickster go off the Zen onto the Moira to get a main healer in here, trying to use that Coalescence and just provide more healing for the team as well.
Elfie died. I'm not sure what happened there. Sometimes you just try to be too much of a Reddit Lucio and end up going a little bit too far. Hammer down does come through, but it isn't going to catch anybody so far except for House of Homie, who does survive through it, and it's going to be Nethel that falls. The Coalescence keeping everybody alive on the side of Titans, and they're just trying to push forward. There is the nuke coming out. It doesn't catch anybody, though, so now Danks is back into the mech trying to deal damage. Reboot getting a charge up, but it isn't going to be killing anybody and is going to die in return. Now the sound barrier has come through from Quaking Punch, trying to keep everybody alive, but the Coalescence is going to be burnt on Titan, or from Pro, trying to keep everybody alive, and so far is doing a good job of it. Another charge from Nethel isn't going to be catching anybody, but is going to mean he's right in the middle of it, and swinging the hammer, he's getting a lot of damage out, and Alfie actually getting the double kill. A great job there, and with Danks getting the last kill into Quaking Punch, a great hold.
That was really nice. That nuke would almost detonate. I'm looking at Reboot as he shattered down as the nuke went in, and he was just able to get his shield up last second, which was really nice from Reboot. But then he was picked off, and then it wasn't choose draw, and then just the ult economy again. Like we said, we see Blossom coming out, and it's just the ult management is phenomenal for Furpro tonight.
Helix Snake being earlier than a big shatter to follow up, catches a lot of members of Titanus, and now it is just a brawl. So much stuff is happening. A Graviton Surge does go that catches a lot of members of Pro, but everyone's staying alive so far. But Reboot getting a big shatter, catches 3, but still nobody is dying. There's so many heals and not enough damage, and Reboot is finally going to fall. Now with the nuke coming out, some more may fall as well, and Zuki is going to get it, and now it looks pretty good for Pro with 99%. All they have to do is win this fight to get the reverse sweep. They're running it with the hammer down. It looks like they're going to be getting it. This is it. They're getting the kills, and Titan falls. That is the reverse sweep. Ladies and gentlemen, Pro takes it away.
That is something you rarely see, but it is always a treat when you see it, when the team is down 2-0 in the beginning, and then they come back with the victory. The competitive, sorry, I can't speak right now. The change in Pro after the halftime, before and after the halftime, was definitely something. It's like they sit down, they said, all right, this is what we're going to do. We're going to do it. And it worked really well tonight. And Titan...
Sometimes that's all you need. Sometimes you just need a little bit of warm-up. And it seemed to be that was Pro's problem. And so they just turned it around and took it. A really great job from them. You know, lots of leadership, lots of great shot calling from everybody. And it seems like there's a little bit of step up just in your general calling your play sort of thing. So now we're going to have to call our MVPs of the match. First, let's talk about Titans, the losing team of today. They got reverse swept, but they were very, very strong at the beginning. Who do you think is your MVP of the match? Or for Titans, rather.
For Titans MPV, I gotta give it to Hot Pockets there. His Hammond plays were really spot on tonight, just being able to get into the back line of Pro, distracting them, and doing what a Hammond player could do, and doing a good job at it, which gave Pro a really big problem until they started countering. But I gotta give Hot Pockets my play for Titan.
For me, I think I'm going to hand it over to Ulceration. Did a great job of keeping everybody alive on those maps, and I think did do a great job of staying consistent and played every single match today. So really, really great show up from there. Now, on the side of... Peeps, who do you think is the MVP for Titans?
I'm gonna say Ulceration and Quaking Punch, a combination. The heals for both enabled that team to really accomplish what they did, I think, those first two games. So I'm gonna give it to the pair of healers on that team.
And now we're going to talk about Pro. A really great return there. Ended up just reverse sweeping after that halftime. Like you said, they must have just sat down. They must have had something, or maybe all they did was warm up, and ended up taking the next 3 maps and taking it away. I think for me, the MVP on their side, and therefore I think of the whole game, would have to be Helix Snake, who did a great job on the Reaper most games, getting big death blossoms and making sure to join the fight as well, picking off prime targets.
I have to give my MVP, though. The DPS was really good tonight as well, but I have to give it to Nethel tonight. This is the first time I've seen him play, actually, and his Rhine tonight was very strong. I have to say, he knew when he had to back off, but he also knew when he had to play aggressive. His shatters were really good tonight, and the communication, you normally have that main tank as a shot caller. His communication with his team when he was doing shatters and being able to make the most of the Rhine, and it was So Neithel will be getting my player the match for Pro tonight.
I think I'm going to have to agree with you in the second half. I think in the first half there were a lot of blocked shatters, and he wasn't really able to do as much as he wanted to. But definitely in the second half, did a great job of picking it up and playing that main tank role. Now for Peeps, how about you?
I'm going to give it to Wolfpack, not just because it is his birthday, partially because it's his birthday, but I think that he flexed really well most of that game. He was really trying a lot of stuff. When he realized it wasn't working, he would go back, switch it up, try something else again. That wasn't working, go back, try it, So I thought the flex was pretty good from him, and happy birthday, buddy.
So thank you all very much. I've already done the whole Discord rant, so we're just going to kind of fast forward through that. If you do want to join the Discord, there is information down below the stream in the About section. I was joined by Amano, Yuki, and Peeps today. We'll see you all next time here on O.C.C. Scrims.